We are live.
Okay. So I will call the meeting to order at 6:01, and we have nothing to report out in final action and closed. And I will share our vision and mission, which is every student receives engaging and challenging learning experiences to reach their greatest potential and thrive in a diverse global society. And our mission is FBUSD delivers exceptional, engaging, equitable, and collaborative learning opportunities for all students. And we have next on the agenda, approval of the agenda. So may I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Wait, I thought we were moving something.
With the change. We need to
Oh.
request.
I would move to approve item 3.3, the approval of the agenda with moving the whole section of 5 to, where did you?
Right above actions.
Right
so
above action items, which is
after
11.
10,
So
after the
10.
consent. Okay, so
I'll
we have
second that.
a new motion. Okay, very good. So we
Sorry.
will move board organizational action after consent items, which is after number 10. And all in favor?
Yes.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, so moved. And we have one trustee absent, will be coming in maybe in an hour or so. So that was the request. So with that, we move right into public comment on non-agenda items. So do we have anyone in the room that would like to speak on non-agenda items, or anyone virtually?
We have received no public comment.
Okay, and I will just remind everyone, if someone's walking in right now that, or is watching and wants to come into our room 306 to give public comment, individuals may address the board on agenda and non-agenda items during public comment and or at the time they are under consideration by completing the speaker form provided on the table at the entrance and submitting to Renee. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. Speakers will be chosen in random order. A timer will be set for 3 minutes. If you do not complete your comment, when timer rings, you may leave a written comment for the board's information. Each person may only speak once per agenda topic and is required to address the board from the podium so we can hear on the recording. A total of 20 minutes public comment per topic will be allowed. And in exceptional circumstances, the board may consider adjusting the amount of time allowed for public comment. Public comment cannot be acted upon or discussed by the board in accordance with the Brown Act. The board may request staff to respond orally at the meeting or in writing at a future time. And if you need translation services, please contact Renee 72 hours in advance by phone or email. And we do video regular meetings, and it's broadcast on the FBUSD YouTube channel. So if anyone's watching virtually, members of the public who wish to address the board during the meeting, please submit by emailing boardmeeting@fbusd.us, and staff will make all attempts to share and record any submissions received prior to or during the board meeting. So we have no one in our room that wants to speak right now, and we don't have any public comment on non-agenda items by our virtual. So we will move on to patriotic exercise, which happens to be me this evening. So I wanted to take a moment to honor and celebrate that. I don't know much about Special Education Day. So on December 2nd was when it was celebrated, and it's the signing of the Individuals with Disability Education Act into law on this day in 1975. IDEA granted access to children with special needs to free and quality public education. And it all started in 1972 with the U.S. District Court lawsuit Mills versus the Board of Education, filed in the District of Columbia. The denial of publicly funded education for children with learning disabilities was ruled unlawful. This case paved the way for the Act of 1975, approved and passed by President Gerald Ford on November 29th of the same year. The act was the county's first official law addressing special education. States receiving federal funds were required to provide full access to children with special needs. In 1986, the law was revised to include more support for parents and educators and to advance education plans. In 1990, the name of this landmark act changed to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. Over the years, clauses have been added to address issues and ensure that the standards of education for children are on par with the overall educational system. IDEA not only establishes the rights of children, but laid the groundwork for teachers and families to work together and to ensure there are services and resources available for support. Special Education Day started in 2005 on IDEA's 30th anniversary. So I just wanted to thank special education advocates and my gratitude to staff, students, and families for empowering education for each and every child. So that's not that long ago that they were not every child was getting education. So thank you. And we will move on to the next, which is acknowledgements, number 6. So Superintendent Aldridge.
All right. So as you have already mentioned, December 2nd was National Special Education Day. December 7th is National Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, or was, and it is December 5th through 11th was Computer Science Education Week. We had some options that different teachers could take part in. There's a lot of options that have really sprung up around that, so we were advertising it through our blog as well. So, under 6.1, we would also like to acknowledge the following members of our FBUSD staff who are retiring this month. And so if you do the math, there are a combined 98 years of experience that are retiring. First, we have Jerry Lynn Mitchell, and I had each of the supervisors just write up a brief statement. There have been other celebrations of these folks this week as well. But Jerry Lynn Mitchell has served 34 years in Fort Bragg Unified School District. She started as a school bus driver in 1988. She drove a regular bus route until 2001 when she became the transportation secretary. She meticulously maintained all of the driver records, CHP and DMV records, and bus routes. In 2007, Jerry Lynn attended the School Bus Driver Instructor Certification course to become a school bus driver trainer. She is responsible for training 15 certified school bus drivers. In the course of her career, Jerry Lynn drove over 250,000 miles and transported over 200,000 students. Jerry Lynn took care of every student on her bus as if they were her own. She has touched the lives of so many people in her personal and professional career, it'll be next to impossible to replace her. On behalf of the Fort Bragg Unified School District Transportation Department, we wish Jerry Lynn the very best in the next chapter of her life. We have Madeline Richards, so I know Bruce is here in person.
Nice.
So I wrote down for Madeline, she's been at the high school, I think she came on the year after I graduated, so it's been a long time since she's been there. And I just wrote down some stats that we had a nice little celebration for her yesterday. And the seniors, I think I estimated it was about 4,000 to 5,000 seniors that have passed through since she's been there. And with the scholarship, she's in charge of her scholarship, and there was upwards of $8 to $10 million that she has worked and distributed to the students. Office passes, it was like hundreds of thousands of office passes that she sent out. Progress boards, same thing, hundreds of thousands. Transcripts, I mean, there's thousands of transcripts that she sent out over the years. Phone, I estimated probably, it was like 925 days that she's been on the phone since she's been at Fort Bragg High School. Think about that, 3 years. Hundreds of teachers that she supported throughout the years, and the thousands of lives that she has touched. And it was great to see. We put their hands up to see who in the room was around with when she was there. And I think there was at least 10 to 12 people that raised their hands. So she's touched thousands of lives, and we're going to miss her. So thank you, Madeline.
Thank you.
All right. And finally, we have Miss Debbie Wasson. And Debbie has served the district for 31 years, since 1991. And Jamie says that the staff at Dana Gray will really miss Debbie. Every day she greets us with a warm good morning. Although over the past 30 plus years she has worked at 4 out of the 5 schools in the district, we know that Dana Gray has been her favorite. Being a little biased, just to say. She has touched the lives of many students and staff with her knowledge and humor. We wish her all the best in her retirement and hope that she enjoys every moment.
Great. Thank you so much. And I know I'm not alone in this, but I was a teenager when all of these folks were somewhere on campus in the district. So they even touched my life. So that's very exciting for them to move on to the next chapter, but they will be well missed. So the next item on our agenda is communications. And I think we all received an email. We receive probably every other week an email or an Ed Week article from a community member about school names by Confederates. And we also received an email from our regional PACER rep, Laurel Green. So she was giving us information on if we wanted to go to a budget meeting that's supported or maybe sponsored by Capital Investment, so we can listen to other people that speak Wendy's language. So I encourage you to look it up, or I can forward the email. She doesn't make up the lingo and doesn't make up how the budget works, and so it's just nice to hear what they think is coming down to see if the prediction's accurate for January. But also in that email, our rep is moving on to a different district, so we're going to be getting a new regional point person. So that's exciting for her, but sad for us because I enjoyed her support. And we did get an email from CSBA for student board member training. So I don't know if student board member would like training, but you could contact Renee. It was super reasonable, and it was virtual, and it was a few hours in January maybe. So yeah, I think it'd be pretty exciting to try that. And then we did get a CSBA saying that there's a dashboard release for districts in California. So that's up and coming. And we move to the agenda public comment for agenda items. So is there anyone that would like to speak on agenda items? And anyone virtually?
There's no public comment.
Okay. So we'll move to reports. Our student rep, Joe Erickson.
All right. So I will start off, as always, with my report from Redwood. Tomorrow, the 16th, will be pajama day and morning opening, 2 in 1. And then there's the vacation the following week, the 19th through the 2nd of January. And also the 16th is MLK holiday on that Monday. The site council meeting for Redwood will be on December 19th. And parent education night with the school counselor will also be on the 19th. And the ELAC and DLAC meeting is 123, and that's online. And coffee with the principal will be on the 27th. From Dana Gray, the most fun things happening this week are on Thursday, Silly Sweater Day, and Friday, the Golden Awards are happening. And at that award assembly, there is talk of a staff flash mob, so we'll see how that goes, says Jamie. And she hopes that everyone has a wonderful break. From FBMS, there are a few fun things happening for students this week. Friday is a 6th grade web social during lunch where the 8th grade web leaders will be running stations for the 6th graders. And they'll be making hot chocolate with them and gingerbread houses and doing a scavenger hunt. Also happening at the middle school is that Friday is a winter dress-up day, and the 8th grade boys basketball team has a home tournament Friday and Saturday, if anyone wants to go support that team. From Noyo High, there is a flag football game on Thursday with the Coast Guard. I'm thinking that's today. And it was at FBHS Stadium, and there was a taco bar after the game. And from Fort Bragg High School, students are finishing up their finals this week. Semester grades are mailed out on January 6th, and CTE is having a holiday art sale at Town Hall. That's Saturday from 1 to 4, and that would have art from the visual arts classes and cookies and fudge from culinary for sale, so that's worth checking out as well. And the Holiday Classic Boys and Girls Basketball Tournament are December 28th through 30th. And the high school would also like to wish everyone a great holiday break. That is my whole report. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for the report. And we have construction report next.
Okay. It was my understanding that Don was going to be here, but we did have a construction report that was in the packet.
He wasn't sure if he was going to call in or be here because he's also in Mendocino tonight.
Okay.
So I didn't know. Did Don indicate whether he was going to be virtual?
He will be here
Okay.
in person. Yes.
So maybe we'll just,
Maybe we can circle back to that.
yep, we'll go to the superintendent report, bilingual family liaison report.
It's you already.
Good timing.
sir. Okay. So good evening, everyone. My name is Marie Cruz White. I am one of the bilingual liaisons along with Marta Lopez. I would like to start by thanking you for having us here tonight. We are here to give you a report about what has been keeping us busy this first half school year. So Marta Lopez will talk about how we continue supporting our schools, families, and students.
Well, good evening, everyone. So, well, as soon as school is about to start, the second day that we were at the office, it was National Night Out. So National Night Out is actually an event that is sponsored by Police Department, and that is the time that we take advantage to be part of that event, because it gives us the opportunity to be in touch again with the community and to remind them, like, it's registration time. You have to register if you need your athletic clearance, if you need the supply list for the students. So we are there to remind them that it's time to go back to school. And check out our table cover. We're very excited because the first time that we participated, we had nothing. It was plain. We were like very boring. And now we have a nice tablecloth that has for Bragg Unified School District sign. So we're very excited about that. So we were reminded the people about all the stuff that is happening during the summertime, and then how we're supporting our schools. So we remind them about that they need to register in Aries. We supported a Redwood with TK and K orientation. We support with Coffee with a Principal. We have lots and lots of IEPs, 504, SSDs. We do translations for all of the sites, and the 5 sites. So sometimes we have like 2 or 3 IEPs per day. Like tomorrow, it's busy. So, but we enjoy it. We support SARP. We have a couple of SARP meetings as well. ELEC and DLEX is not only translating those meetings, we have to call the day ahead. With our Latino families, it works a little bit different. It's not just enough just to send an email, just a reminder like a week before. We have to call them the day before or the day off. So we use that time to call the families to remind them to please join the meeting. And then during the meeting also, we are like connecting with the families like, hey, do you remember? Like we're live right now. Mm-hmm. So that kind of stuff. Teacher parent conferences, we supported all the sites except for the Fort Bragg High School, but Redwood, Dana Gray, and middle school. So it was very exciting. We connect with the agencies referring the families to Mendocino Coast Children's Fund, to Project Century. We receive those phone calls that parents don't know what to do, that they are in a difficult situation. They share that information. We help them get in, connected with Project Century. They don't know how to get their immunizations as well. Well, we connect them with Mendocino Coast Clinics. They need a doctor's note because they've been missing a lot of school. We connect them with them as well. Parenting classes. Some parents reach out to us like, I need classes for my child. Or even when we are attending those meetings, those IEPs, SST meetings, they say like, how can I help my child? How I need classes. So we refer them. We help them with that. And with the Redwood Coast Regional Center as well. And we started, I know when the previous superintendent was with us, she really wanted to create some events completely in Spanish for our families. So we started with Tardes de Café con Pan, which is evenings with coffee and bread. So it's not any bread. It's Mexican traditional bread, as you can see right there. So those are called conchas, or how do you say conchas?
Shell.
I cannot think in English and Spanish right now. I'm too excited. The first person that was our speaker, it was our amazing high school counselor, Tomas Sanchez. Mary Cruz and I were planning to have like 5 people. It's going to be something simple, nothing big. We have enough bread, enough coffee. 21 families showed up that night, and it was a rainy night, so we were very happy to see that many people. We kept pulling chairs, and then at one point we're like, we don't have any coffee, we don't have any bread. What are we gonna do? Because we were just like, our hopes were little, honestly, but we were very happy to see that the parents responded really well. So, and our next event is going to be Tarde de Café con Pan with the Fort Bragg Police Department. And we have a flyer right there in English that the topic will be appropriate discipline at home, harassment, bullying through social networks, consequences for minors of the use of alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, etc., and fentanyl risk and consequences. And probably you are wondering how we came up with those topics. Well, we did a survey among our parents, and we asked them, what would you like to hear in our schools? What do you want to talk about? What is nothing, that it's like you really want to discuss? So they said all of this. We reached out to the police department, and the chief said, yes, we will be there on January 9th at 5 o'clock at the Fort Bragg Middle School. So, next one. Oh, that's that's okay. Well, we had a different picture. We are moving, but not from the district. We're going to have finally our office, but that is going to be right here, at the old MCOE building. So we're excited about that we will have finally a place that we can meet with the parents. We can have a table. As you know, we are like at every site. And sometimes we showed up at the middle school and the parent is waiting for us at the high school. And then sometimes we are at Redwood and they said, oh no, we are at Dana Gray. So we're moving all over the place. So we're excited that finally they can find us at one place. And any questions?
So do they make an appointment with you directly, so that you don't have 20 people coming to you at once?
No.
And then you don't have to travel out now as much?
Yes,
if
no.
Unless it's...
Yeah, they make appointments with us. They call us, and sometimes they say, where are you? At your office? Like, well, sometimes we are available, but sometimes we have a meeting, or sometimes we're meeting with a different parent. So, yeah.
Very good. Any questions on the board? Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you.
Okay. So we do have the counseling report. And while we're waiting, I did attend the last ELAC-DELAC meeting, and I liked the breakout rooms. I thought that was pretty cool that all the families could be there, especially if they had more than one age student, so it was efficient. So I thought that was a really good improvement. Yeah.
Sorry, it came in very late.
What's there?
Sorry, they reformatted it, so it was not in the right format in the agenda. This is in the board's packet of information. So Joe, I don't know if you wanted to go over this or if the board had any questions about what's being provided.
I can just hit some of the highlights for sure.
Okay.
And principals, please feel free to support. So at Redwood, we have Jody Schmid. She's doing a wonderful job. She's brings a lot of enthusiasm to supporting the kiddos there. She's doing a lot of work with small group counseling, behavioral support, check in and check out, and SEL. as well as getting into classes and providing whole class lessons. And you can read more details there, but she really is doing an excellent job, and I'm very happy to have her there. So, at Dana Gray, we have Katie Brickey. She is doing very similar types of things. She is meeting with 8 classes per week and conducting an SEL lesson based on trends. She's made some times that she's having 8 to 9 each morning that she's open for anyone who needs counseling support. So that's kind of a neat drop-in time there. She's in the cafeteria and chooses a different group to eat with. So she's making some connections with the kiddos there and doing a lot of restorative conferences and circles. Let's see. She continues to work with outside agencies, and she just, every time I'm around the school, I see her out and about. And so it's very lovely to have her there as well. At Fort Bragg Middle, we have Erica Malson, and she is working on collaborating with our district, with our community, and really trying to keep everyone connected. She's doing a great job of getting students who need more intense services connected with those services. She also follows up on academic counseling, so she meets with students who have D's and F's on progress reports to really kind of be a cheerleader and help them along that way. And let's see, she continues to work on a wellness center. And she secured a grant to help support that through CTA. She's also working on school culture. She works with the student council to really help build that as well. So there's a lot of great things that are going on there. So, at Fort Bragg High with Mark and Tomas, they have served 270 students since the first day of school. That doesn't include necessarily walk-ins or students that they've seen that they reach out to bring in. So it's a lot bigger than that, but that's still a pretty impressive number. That's well over half of our students.
Mm-hmm.
Counselors have done groups to help students complete college applications and complete the FAFSA. They advertise in the bulletin and also target students who they feel would benefit directly. Tomas is the Link Crew coordinator. And so really having the juniors and seniors help out the freshmen in their orientation and making sure they feel welcome on campus. Tomas is also an advisor for the MECHA Club. I'm not going to read that correctly, but it's an organization that promotes culture, higher education, and history on campus for Latino students. They meet on club day. And they've done the college information night outreach. They've done some financial aid presentations, and they've presented to all seniors on how to finish the scholarship applications in English 12 classes. So they do many other things as well, meeting with students to make sure that they're staying on track, really trying to make sure that they're doing plenty of outreach and home visits to any students. And they have referred many students over to LLMH as well, so that the outside support has been very valuable in supporting our students throughout the district. At Alternative Ed, we have Catherine Bernsdorf, and again, every time I am there, I see her engage with students in some way, so it's very nice. She has a QR code, so if she is engaged with the students, posted right on her door, so they can always just take out their phone, take a quick scan, and fill out the form and say, I need to see you, and she follows up just as quickly as she can. She does weekly anxiety and social skills groups and does some weekly circles in the classrooms. She creates a positive school, or her goal is to create a positive school culture and climate. And she feels circles are a really important part of that in what they do. And she mentions also the LLMH supports that we have, as well as the Signs of Suicide program. She's also really supporting our TRIO talent search.
Okay. So does anyone have any questions?
Those are some busy folks.
Yes.
They are, but invaluable at our sites and
Sure.
doing an
Yeah,
awesome job.
for sure. I don't think any staff member is looking for something to do. think their day is, it's kind of like moose in a muffin. You thought you had some items you were going to do, and you ended up helping a lot of people, kids. So thank you for the report. We appreciate knowing how many students are in need and that they are supported. So our next report is Kudos and Assets Update.
All right.
Hi, Beth Pine, and I'm the ACES coordinator for Bragg Unified School District. And I wanted to start off by saying thank you to Mary Cruz and to Martha, because they didn't say in their report that they support us as well, and they are invaluable to us as well. So thank you to both of them. I'm not going to just reread what's in the report, but I just wanted to do some highlights. So Redwood, kudos, is finally fully staffed. And so it's taken us this long to get fully staffed. And new this year is the 10-to-1 ratio at the kindergarten TK level. And so we're excited to begin adding new students to the kindergarten class, and also to the other classes, so the first, second grade classes. So that's kind of the main highlight of Redwood. At Dana Gray, there's a couple of things that I didn't put in the report that I kind of wanted to highlight. One is that we are continuing this year with our new Reading with Relevance curriculum, and I have, again, Brooke Wilbur and Leslie Agaridia to support me in the Reading with Relevance students, and they have a group of 10 kids each. And it's a wonderful curriculum, and the kids are loving it and looking forward to going to their reading groups. And I also have a couple of staff people that are supporting individual reading with the kids for those that are really in need of some one-on-one support. So that's something that we've been carrying over. I'd love to also get a math person in there to do a math group, but I haven't been able to recruit one yet, but I'm working on it. And the other thing that I kind of wanted to highlight is that we continue to have just a stellar STEM program with Dolores. And she's continuing to do Quest this year with the kids. They have a new season, and so this will be her second year doing Quest with the kids. And she does it with the 5th graders on Thursday. We also have a lot of kids playing chess with Johnny. And I wanted to highlight that because he'll take any student of any age and in about 5 minutes get them lined up on a chessboard and figuring out what the moves. And I can't believe how many kids, when they have a choice day, go and grab the chessboards and the timers and play chess at Dana Gray. So I'm really grateful for the staff that I have. And our newest staff people, Debbie and April, are just a joy, and they leave the kids every single day smiling, and have done a whole lot of reflection on their classes to make sure that they are using student voice and going with the flow. And so it's been really great. And at the middle school and at Dana Gray, well, the middle school is also doing Reading with Relevance, I should say that as well. And Isa Hernandez from the Dana Gray School is going over there and doing Reading with Relevance at the middle school. And they're working on getting Quest going, but they need a few more kids. They're also working on getting more kids at the middle school, and the program is really right now focusing a lot on STEM and some art projects, but they have been doing a great job of providing academic support, and they really are encouraging the kids to come that need that, because they're really doing a fabulous job of communicating with the teachers and making sure that the kids are caught up on their assignments. And, so they're just going the extra mile at the middle school to make sure that the kids are getting all the academic support they need. And they also are adding students to the program and building the program. So I think I caught most of the highlights. One more. One of the very important ones is that we've just developed a relationship with the Noyo Center for Marine Science. We're starting a new program with them this year, and the kids will be going down to the harbor to their new cafe at the harbor, and they're going to be doing things like doing some tidal exploration, and they're going to go out on boat trips, and they're going to one of the really great things about this is a big focus on social emotional learning, and so they're starting with the middle school. It'll be 6 weeks for the middle school, and then they'll come over to Dana Gray, and it's going to be on Fridays as a club. And we're just so excited because we just really feel like this is going to be a great opportunity for the kids. And so that's the newest thing. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
I was just curious on enrollment. Is it the same amount of kids? I mean, plus or minus all sites, like overall the same before? Is it meeting the pre-pandemic numbers?
Right, yeah.
Or are you declined?
Well, part of it, especially at Redwood, has been, getting fully staffed. And so we're building up to where we were. We'll get there soon. Dana Gray has a waiting list of about 30 students. So we're definitely at capacity to where we were. And Victoria's definitely has more kids at the middle school than was in the past several years. But she keeps trying to, get more kids. It's one of those things at the middle school is you get them in and then 2 drop, and then you get a couple more in and then another one drops. And so it's kind of been a challenge, but she's been keeping fairly steady attendance over there.
Good.
And in January, we actually need to start meeting our attendance goals again for the ACES grant. We've had some reprieve because of COVID, and they count attendance for ACES on a calendar year. And so we got to go from January to January and get an ADA that is a certain amount in order to keep all of our grant funding. And so we try to, not fall below that. In years past, we really haven't had any issues with that at all. But, it's becoming more challenging every year. And, basically the program requires the kids at Redwood and Dana Gray to attend 5 days a week. And at middle school, 3 days a week. And it's kind of hard for parents to make that commitment. So it's a constant reminder that, you've got to be here 5 days a week or, have an alternative form filled out. So thank you for that question.
Does anyone have any questions?
I did have a question. You mentioned Quest. Can you share what that is?
Sure. Quest is, it's kind of hard to explain. Quest is a virtual game that the kids, though, do hands-on activities. So the leader uses the big screen to do kind of a virtual game with the kids, or that gives them like the scenario. And then the kids form governments, and they pick what government that they're going to be. And they have like certain pieces, like in the game, that they use to like bargain with and barter with and complete challenges. And then they also have hands-on challenges. So I wish I would have had the picture of it. Dolores showed me today. They had to make a tower with cards, and they just had to build this, and they were this tall. And so the kids are really getting excited about it because it's hands-on, it's virtual, it's challenges, and there's actually a winner at the end of the season, and so they had a great time with it last year, and it gets more exciting every year, and so we get supported by the county Office of Education, and they have a local person that will come and support us if we need it. But so far, having Dolores as our STEM teacher, she hasn't needed much support. So it's been great for the kids. I think they really like it, and I think it has, it teaches so many problem-solving skills and social skills and, government, and there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Great.
that question.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for the report.
Thank you.
And so we have Redwood Elementary highlights.
Are you ready for me, Renee? Okay, no pressure. All right. I had a lot of fun over the last couple months, but also a couple weeks, looking over the photos that I've taken over the course of our first half of the year and looking back at all the good times that we have. So thanks for this opportunity. Here's some sneak peeks. These are some of our preschoolers, and I'll tell you, the photos were just a little bit sweeter with their little smiles in there, but we want to make sure that we protect our kiddos, so their faces are covered. But these are some of our preschoolers going in to read stories with Miss Kelly. You can hear the excitement in the hallway when they're coming. I'm proud to say that all of our students visit the library, and everybody loves their time with Kelly. This is one of our TK classrooms. I believe this is Mrs. Smith's class. They all have their special spots. They are learning how to read books. Sometimes you'll see a TK student telling themselves the story while they turn the pages. They buddy read. They do have familiar texts. There's one in particular who will introduce himself by spelling his name. They're very excited to share the things that they're learning. It's always sweet. Here's another TK class. I'm really sad that I had to cover up those faces because the wonder on their faces. They're looking into the little pond. For those of you that had children go through Redwood, yes, there are still fish in the pond. This is in our garden. When we have butterflies in the classroom in the spring, this is where we go and release the butterflies. The kids grow crops, they tend to the beds, they harvest the food. They get to make that delicious tomatillo salsa when it's in season. But here they are, just visiting with their teacher and enjoying the outdoor learning space. Popcorn Friday, it's tomorrow. Here's a group of kindergartners in Mrs. Daniels' class. They are enjoying their snack on the patio. It's always a good time when they can gather and chat and munch on good, healthy popcorn from our Parents Club. We're really grateful for their contributions on Fridays. And here is another shot from kindergarten. I put here that we play to learn in kindergarten. Here they are. They just think they're having the best time ever, but we're teaching them measurement and comparison. Kids were practicing speaking in complete sentences, and you had to collaborate with a partner, which is not always their favorite in kindergarten, so it's a great lesson there as well. Each first Thursday of the month is our College and Career Day. So this is Miss M's class, Miss Margerson's, and she led her class in learning about what firefighters do. This was the first Friday in December. And I walked into the classroom and multiple kids were wearing firefighter costumes, and there were firefighter centers going on. So at one center, the kids were identifying the different pieces of gear that firefighters need in order to do their jobs well. At another center, they were coloring pictures of how firefighters help our community. So we're doing those fun activities each month. This was a project that was in Mrs. Hurst Roach's first grade. I got to see the beginning of this lesson, and she was kind enough to share the end photo with me because I couldn't stay for the whole thing. But students were working with making these chains, and they were building them to be the height that they are now. She was adding they wrote their name, and she was adding their photo to the very end of the chain, and the kids are really excited to give those to their families as a keepsake of how tall they were in first grade. And there was a great discussion about whether or not they were going to be allowed to put 6.5 as their age versus just 6. This is in Miss Stadler's first grade. I wanted to give you a little insight to what it looks like when we're doing all those tests that we talk about in the board meetings. The kids do practice each week in iReady on both language arts and mathematics, and it's the same format that we do the testing with. So here are some kids engaging with that. Here are some second graders. This is Mr. Silva's class. I had to look at those names. Mr. Silva's second grade class. Second graders are really putting everything together. There's not necessarily less play, but it's definitely more formalized work, so more paper pencil, and the kids are really excited to feel competent and independent with the work that they're doing. And we love recess. Got to have a playground shot. We love swinging. It's good for not only physical development, but mentally having that movement on the playground is really important for our youngest learners. I took a picture of an area in Jody, our counselor's office. She has transformed this office into a welcome and calm space for our kiddos. This was a workstation that she has set up for a special person in mind. There is a timer there so that they can learn to self-monitor and keep track of when time's up and try to anticipate that, because that's something that's tricky for them. They've got a book on the table called My Mouth is a Volcano, which has been read to them before, and it illustrates how important it is to let our thoughts and feelings out, but to be careful about how we do that and how it can affect other people. Behind the table, there's a poster about mindfulness, reminding kids of the strategies that they can use when they are feeling stressed or overwhelmed or having big feelings that don't feel comfortable. And Jody often moves that poster to the outside of her door during the day in case she's not available in her office. Kids have that there as a visual reminder. Oh, Miss Jody's not here, but I've got tools. We can do it. This is just one of the examples of how Jody supports our kiddos. And then this is a picture from our reading intervention room. There is Kim Myrtle, one of our fabulous intervention teachers, working with this small group, using the LLI curriculum and making sure that our students who are having difficulty learning to read get the targeted instruction that they need and that they deserve. I think that might be the last one. Thanks for letting me come and share some of the good things at Redwood.
Thank you. Anyone have questions?
Questions?
Very good. It was a virtual field trip.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I'm going to take this moment to go as well because my ride is here.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Sounds good. We'll pause for a minute
All
before
right.
we move on to district-wide update. Have a great winter break. If we don't see you before then. Thank you.
Okay. So for our district-wide updates, I'll keep this relatively brief. We have been doing some equity work in the district. Our administrators met earlier this month to discuss the supports we'll need to move forward with equity work in the district. MCOE helped facilitate that session and will be partnering with us to help find supports and connect us with the appropriate leadership supports that we'll need in moving through this work. The Board of Trustees met this past weekend on December 10th for a workshop to deepen our understanding of equity. We'll meet again in January to continue the discussion and policy development. So I thank you all for being there and being present mentally for that. It was a really good session, though I know I was really tired afterwards, so I imagine you were too. And we're waiting to hear if we were awarded grant funding for the anti-bias grant education grant rather. This fund will provide us with some resources for the equity work. We were supposed to hear at some point this week. We still have tomorrow, I suppose. Academics, our high school students are in the midst of their exams, as Joe had reported earlier. We do have an opportunity to join a program to support our rural schools in a math collaborative that's really improving instruction in math, as we've talked about the need to do that. All of our sites will be eligible to participate, and it can look one of 4 different ways, but it's really going to come back around to lesson studies and really trying to look at the actual instruction in the classroom as the primary tool for that, with the possibility of an intervention program coming on that we can get access to for free later on in the grant. So our K-5 teams have decided on science and social studies textbooks to pilot. So we're piloting, I think, 2 series in each of the areas, K-5, and they will make a recommendation to us for each subject in the spring. Though I have told them if for some reason we get to a point where none of it looks like a good tool, then we'll wait until we can find the proper tool. We would rather buy the right textbook than to put that significant investment into something that's not going to work well for our students. Noyo Lighthouse and Shelter Cove are receiving statewide attention and even nationwide in some cases for their implementation of big picture learning. So they were at a conference this last week, and other sites want to come see them. So there's folks from Texas who want to come see. I think a school from the East Coast wants to come out and see them and see what they're doing. And the unique part with big picture learning is they actually get a part of the fees for that. So we'll actually generate revenue at some point. As Diana had mentioned earlier, the California School Dashboard was released today. I have not had time to delve into it too much. We will take a deeper look in January, but there is the link there. I will say that the local indicators show standard not met. I am not sure. I filled out the information, but I must not have clicked submit or missed a step in there somewhere. So it says not met, even though those were reviewed and as a part of the LCAP process in June. So I apologize for that oversight. We will make sure that gets done this year. There's no real consequence for it for 1 year. It's just the look on the dashboard. So again, I apologize if that's the case, but we will look deeper at that in January. In human resources, we're analyzing our needs for the coming year. We really hope to know any known vacancies for the next year and advertise as soon as possible. Mr. Chimolino is moving on in support of his family, so we wish him well. And we will have Leah Garrett serving as an interim for Fort Bragg Middle School as we recruit a new assistant principal. We're also sad to lose our 3 retirees and wish them well as they move to the next stage of life. And finally, our community partnerships. I will be submitting by Tuesday the Community Schools Planning Grant application. This funding will increase our capacity to support community partnerships such as that we have with the Blue Door Services to benefit our students' mental, social, and physical health. If awarded, this grant will provide us $100,000 per year for 2 years to develop these partnerships and allow us to apply for the next level of grant funding, which would be, I believe it's $500,000 a year for 5 years.
Wow.
So significant funding there. And I wish everyone happy holidays.
Okay, thank you for the report. Did anyone have any questions before we move on to benchmark data? Okay, so we have student assessment benchmark data for grades 6 through 12, and we will have Ms. Laura Vieira for Fort Bragg Middle School.
Okay, clearly I'm doing something wrong. Jerry Lynn and I started the same year for Fort Bragg Unified.
That's cute.
Okay, so benchmark data. Our teams at Fort Bragg Middle School met over the course of several staff meetings to analyze our first iReady benchmarks that were actually given in September. So the data that they were looking at is not super current. We're actually doing our second benchmark. Language arts did it last week, and math is working on it this week. So you can just clip through, Renee. So CTE did not have an iReady benchmark. They have their own data points that they looked at, and each of those teachers filled out the form. We worked on this together in our departments. Our math department looked at their iReady, and they concluded that the 8th grade class had the strongest understanding of standards because they had the most consistent instruction over the last couple of years. The things I wanted to highlight for them were on their action plan, that their focus is going to be working on number talks with kids talking about math and concepts, explaining their thinking behind how they arrived at mathematical answers. And part of that was due to the Kelly Smith training that we had in August. Student talk equals student learning. So the person talking is the one doing the learning. And their action steps to know that they were effective in their strategies will be the benchmarks that we're actually taking this week. PE is also showing, yes, thank you, is showing that as they are slowly working toward increasing cardiovascular health, they're seeing improvement in student stamina, mostly running pacers, but also playing a bunch of other physical games in the gym and out on our yard. Our science data statements and analysis, that department uses Illuminate they create their own benchmarks, unlike iReady, which is nationally normed. And they, you can see down in the data analysis that their students were successful in reading and annotating informational text. We've been doing what we call close reads for I think the whole 7 years that I've been at Fort Bragg Middle School. So our teachers are really good at it, and our kids have had lots of practice with it. And then their action plan is their focus. Is that it? Mine doesn't have colors, yes. Their focus is to implement all of the Kelly Smith student engagement strategies. Again, the one doing the talking is the one doing the learning. Also, the strategies listed there are the strategies that when we get to the school-wide action plan are also the same. Humanities department. Actually, all of our students are working on comparing and contrasting different texts. And when you go down to the standards, they're highlighting the citing evidence, and that's a focus standard that ranges from kindergarten all the way through high school. The humanities action plan, each grade is doing something just a little bit different. The target focus for 6th grade is comparing and contrasting. 7th grade is analyzing 2 or more authors, so you're kind of doing the same thing. And then 8th grade, you're analyzing a case in which 2 or more texts provide conflicting information on the same topic, and then the students are interpreting that. Lesson plans are going to be with instructional engagement strategies. Again, the Kelly Smith strategies that we've been working on for several years. And our action plan, which is on the next, I think it's on the next one. There it is. So school-wide, so all the departments analyzed their data individually as a department, and then we all came together. What are we going to do school-wide to support student learning and student progress? And this is what we came up together as a full staff. So really focusing on the reading informational text. That's the standard RI and RL. So RI is reading informational text. RL is reading literature. And then the 6.9 through 8.9, that's the grade level standard that runs through all of the Common Core standards. And then speaking and listening, which again goes back to the one doing the talking is the one doing the learning. And then the strategies that are listed on the lower left, those are all Kelly Smith strategies that, again, they've been working on both in departments over the last couple of years. And then Kelly comes, I want to say once a month, but it might not be that often depending on sub availability, to work with specific departments to fine tune those skills and those strategies. And then our math departments, everybody's going to talk with my hands. Everybody's going to work on the number talks and having students discuss their thinking, their reasoning, and being able to explain how they got to where they did. And that is our action plan. So I do need to add, our humanities benchmarks were done, the second one was done last week, and we have students that are showing 3 grade levels of growth from the iReady assessments that they took in September to the one that they took last week. So it's very exciting. Math, I don't have anything to share yet because we're still working on that. So there is growth and there's learning happening at Fort Bragg Middle School.
Any questions from the board?
Well, my question was, since this was the plan back, what have you seen as the leader of your school? And you just answer. I mean, it's happening.
Okay, well, see, it's a comprehensive report.
So, but you think the same, I mean, you're going to see the same things with math too. I mean, you've been around in
I
classrooms.
think the consistency and predictability of continuing to come to school 5 days a week with the same teachers and the same classes, and we continue. The Kelly Smith strategies we've been using since, our 8th graders were in 6th grade. So that consistency throughout the years, it's not professional development that's one and done. It's been ongoing over time, and they're just getting better at what they're doing.
Awesome.
It's very exciting.
It is exciting.
3 grade level. I mean,
Three grade
that's
levels from
amazing.
September to now is remarkable. And I would say Lindy highlighted it. We have LLI, Level Literacy Intervention, I think is what the LLI stands for, which is a reading intervention program, but it's for kids that are general education that don't qualify for special ed. Those are some of the students that we're seeing make these big leaps because they've got that foundation where, normally you may not have access to it in your general education class. So LLI, I think, has been a big part of that. So thank you, board, for helping us get a reading intervention program at the middle school because we really needed it.
Well, thank you to you and the staff. Great job.
It's not me, it's all them.
Great job to them.
And I do like the school site coming together and seeing what they can use in every
As a whole,
classroom,
yeah.
which is pretty exciting. And my only question, and it'll be for Bruce as well, is those that aren't meeting standard, do you feel like the morale of the kids, do they just don't know what they don't know, or are they frustrated, or they feel like they know how to ask for help because of some shortfall that they, had?
I think it's an individual case by case, as in the counselor report, Ms. Malsum doing academic counseling. We actually take our DNF list and split it up between the vice principal, myself, and the counselor. And we have ongoing meetings with all of those kids that we keep track of. And, they don't ask questions because they're in middle school. That's not cool. But what I do teach them to do is email your teacher if you have a question, or send it in the chat, or we sit in my office and we email together, and I copy the student email in my question or clarification to the teacher. And a lot of times, it's in my backpack, I forgot. And so it's just those kinds of time management things and just making sure you get your stuff turned in.
Yeah.
But it also allows us to build those relationships with kids that are struggling. Because the kids that are doing well, they're easy. It's the kids that struggle with navigation and systems that we support.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
And I learn all kinds of stuff that I don't necessarily know because I can't be in every classroom all the time. And I'm like, really, that happened? So it also gives them a chance to share and connect with somebody, and feel comfortable coming to the office. You don't always go to the office because you're in trouble.
Right. Good things.
We're there to help.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have Bruce Triplett for Fort Bragg High School data.
You can go to the next one. So the CTE, they are working with Kelly next month, and they're trying to get a group, a benchmark that they all can do the same thing. 'Cause this is hard because they teach all different subjects and different contents. And so this one, they kind of just focused on what they were doing. So there were some links in there. And, you know, they're doing some great stuff. And I better plug the holiday or they're going to get mad at me. So tomorrow, 1 to 4, holiday, they're having an event. So you can buy some art sale, some food there. And so if you have those last minute gifts you need, you can get them there, 1 to 4.
Saturday, right? Not-
Saturday, sorry, Saturday. Yes, that is
And
correct.
where is it?
It's at the town hall. Thank you. So they, like I said, I think the biggest thing is they've been, you know, Kelly Smith, you'll hear, I mean, it's been great. They're working with her, and they want a common benchmark that they all can have some common themes throughout, which, you know, I think what they're going to focus on, speaking and listening, because they all can touch on that, and that's a great job skill that everybody could improve upon. You can go to the next one. So language arts, as you can see, you saw the slide. So, you know, the one thing I like about it is looking at their data is they're trying to find out like what they get back. I mean, this is, I think, working with Kelly Smith and all the data analysis that we've been doing. It's great when you go into those department meetings, and you know they've talked about data, but I think that now they're focusing their conversations and they're looking at their data a little more closely. So they're looking at, is this an error that we did on the test, or maybe we analyzed from looking at the Illuminate, or is it that maybe we didn't teach it correctly? And so they're going back and looking, which is great, and I think it's focused their conversations they're having in their departments, which is great. You can go to the next one. And social studies, excuse me, same thing with the social studies is they teach different content, you know, by grade level. And so they're coming up with a common assessment as well that they can work on. And I think what theirs was their writing. They're noticing that, you know, that they can regurgitate some information, but what the difficulty is having is how do they analyze it from what they're learning to something else. And so that's a tough skill, and it's really a higher thinking. And I think that will go across with the language arts scores and everything like that. So that's what they're seeing, that they're seeing some deficiencies. And so it's great that they're looking at their data as well and trying to find out how they can improve overall. So that's what they're looking at. Math, we keep going through. I think
Did you skip ELA?
I skipped all, you know, no, they're towards, there we go. So I think math, you know, what I think they're noticing is just students are having a hard time. I mean, you know, when they come to high school, academically, I don't think they get as much homework. And so I think that to answer your question, they're building up resiliency and just the work, because I don't think they're used to, you know, oh, I can't finish it in class, then you're going to have homework. And so I think that building up that has been, through COVID, that's been the toughest, is just building up that resiliency with students. And so I think that's what they're trying to do. Because they're noticing different ones, like geometry. I think students, because algebra doesn't really pertain to some of the algebra stuff. So geometry, I think they're noticing that they're doing better in geometry. So again, if you look through the slides, the data they're looking at why is the data showing what they're getting, and so they're coming up with some great things, some great questions they're having, and they're continually changing. They're changing the way they have their warm-ups in class due to what they're noticing on their benchmarks or their tests. Same thing with their department meetings. They're great, and they're trying to figure out, okay, are we going too fast? Are we going too slow? So they're working with each other, and I think we'll see some. You know, I think our math scores were low, and I think it has a multitude of things. The reason why that was. So I think you're going to see our scores hopefully with this, you know, going after this grant, that we'll find ways to improve that. And science, again, it's very similar to all the other ones, is they're looking at their data and, you know, trying to get kids to understand what does that mean with the graphs, and that transfers into the other content. And so, you know, again, all of our, with working with Kelly Smith, they're really pinpointing, you know, what they're doing in the class, and they're changing it all the time. So their benchmark, they're looking at changing theirs in the spring. So it's like I said, I think if you go to the next one, I think that was what we're focusing on. It's the overall. It's, you know, as our discussions, we're just trying to find out ways to improve our data collection. And, you know, over the years, our state testing and our benchmarks have been pretty accurate. They've been pretty close. And so I think our teachers do a great job of looking at how they can improve, which is good. And sometimes hard to get your scores back. You're like, you know, oh, they aren't that good. But, you know, they're trying to find ways to improve that, so it's been good to see. So do you have any questions for me?
So are all of the departments using the Illuminate program?
Not all of them.
Oh, they're not all?
No.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, some of our science is really good at the Illuminate.
Mhm.
But it is, you know, it's, the hard part is trying to get the information in. It's tough
Yeah.
at some of it, so.
Time consuming.
So is that how the graph, with the student groups, is that how they've
That's
created
science,
that?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's how they get
Yeah.
that data?
Correct.
So it sounds like there's a lot of extra steps.
Yeah, there's a lot of extra steps, that is correct.
And that's a lot of, but they're scientists, so they probably like that data.
And Kelly,
Appreciate
she's
that.
very good at it.
Yeah, that's, because I couldn't, anyway, very good. Does anyone have any questions? And you also did a site
Thank you.
sum up. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank your teachers.
Yes, that's exciting.
Mhm.
So the next on the agenda is the California School Employee Association report. Do we have a report?
Oh, Martha Lopez for California School Employees Association, Chapter 487. Last month, I wasn't able to attend the meeting in person, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for the salary increase. It was a good surprise and made us feel appreciated as classified staff. We held a regular meeting and elected a new board. Martha Lopez, again, president. Vice President Cecilia Beeman, Treasurer Kelly Sutton, and Secretary Noel Finberg. The MOU for the bus manager position was ratified, and we're happy that we can move forward in hiring someone that will be supporting the SPED bus students and the drivers. We're saying goodbye to a longtime colleagues, Madeline Richard, and I asked them to please tell me how they started at FBUSD. So Madeline was first hired in 1989 as an instructional aide, then worked as counseling secretary for the Independent Study Program, and then finally as a secretary 3 for the counseling office, completing a total of 33 plus years of service at FBUSD. Debbie Watson was hired as a computer person, she told me, in 1991, putting floppy disks in 25 computers, rebooting after class is done to get ready for the next one. Then work as an instructional aide, as a secretary, counseling secretary, and finally as secretary 3, completing a total of 31 years of service to FBUSD. And as a unit, we cannot forget Jerry Lynn Mitchell. She's not currently a CSEA member due to her position being in management, but for years she was an active CSEA member, and we are so happy to see her going into retirement. So congratulations to all of them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And do we have a report from FBDTA?
No, we do
Report?
not.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, staff, yeah, perfect timing.
Yep.
Have a great winter break. Enjoy your festivities. And perfect timing, our last report is construction. Perfect timing, Don Alameda.
No rest for the weary.
Nice to see you guys.
Hope you're ready.
I'm always worried about these
Timing, no, the
overlaps.
timing works out really great. Good night.
So far, I've been lucky, huh?
Yeah.
So, all righty, well, that's the summary of expenditures and budget for Phase 1. We've expended about 6 million of the 10 million, so we're on the downhill side, as long as the work is tracking with expenses, which they do. They should be. So I'm ready for the next slide. Okay. You know, it's just a real pleasure working with FRC. They're just a good outfit that we have here. They're just progressing pretty well. The exterior, you can see, it's not going to be white forever. That's just the architect chose to do a waterproofing measure that's a little bit over and above being on the coast here, and that's what you're seeing now. They're just starting to put the siding on over that, starting on the west side, and the siding is one pattern at the lower part of the wall, and that's a lot of labor. So it's coming along, though. It'll be nice once it's done. The interior, they are at the point where they've got drywall on, taped, not textured yet, but taped and sanded, ready to go for texture. Actually, it's going to be a pretty smooth finish. So it's starting to really look like rooms inside, if you haven't been in there for a while. What's being worked on now is the lighting, the mechanical, the meat and potatoes that make it function as a building. That's what's going on right now. The other things that will start going on inside that I think they're a little bit behind on, or got a little slower start on, is some of the interior finishes. I think they were supposed to be doing flooring and painting right now, where they're just about to start painting. Actually, I saw the painter leave today, so they're I think they primed some of the walls. So they're a tad behind on some of the interior finishes. But I think the real driver is, again, the switchgear, the electrical work. Without that, we normally would not have power. Fortunately, we have the power from the modular, the old modular, so we do have enough power to put lights on, run computers. What we don't have enough power to do is run the heaters until we get the new switchgear. And somebody reminded me the other day, you can think of that, maybe we could run some of them, but actually the power that's there right now is single phase, and the power that runs the heater or the boiler is 3-phase. So we can't draw power from what's there for the heaters. So right now they're running propane or butane heaters in there to keep the temperature, because you need a certain temperature to start doing finishes, and they're doing that with construction heaters. But I don't think you want to occupy the building with construction heaters. So, so it's coming along though. Next slide, I think I got ahead of myself a little bit. They were tracking pretty much on schedule up until very recently. Like I said, the drywall's installed, the mechanical electrical roofing is complete, and they're starting to get to the finished stuff. What's running a little behind are the finishes, flooring, painting, things that there's an opportunity to catch up on. Those aren't the tricky things to do. Although I was talking to Brandon today when I was out there, and he's thinking he's a week or 2 weeks behind, and whether we catch that up is a question. But again, it's still weeks and months ahead of the switchgear, so that delay's not driving it. Okay, I'm ready for next slide.
Oops.
Okay, so you can just walk out there. Well, not right now, it's a little dark, but as you can see, it looks like a white building. It's not going to be a white building. That's the, it's like a giant diaper, it's just, it's just this waterproofing membrane that goes on it, and now they're starting to, the windows the building's watertight now. If it rains, it's not going to get wet inside. It's got windows, it's got doors, it has this big diaper over it, and now they're covered up with finishes. As you can see, the purple wall, the purple drywall is anti-mold drywall. So when you see purple drywall, that's anti-wall. Typically, you do that in bathrooms. Because of the coast, they chose to do, and they did this in Mendocino too, they chose to do all the drywall and anti-mold drywall.
Yeah. After all the dry rot at the high school, that's great.
Yeah, yeah. So.
And so
the inspector was joking that the taping wasn't purple, but
right. I know. I was thinking, is there a theme? It's like H&R and Fort Bragg unified together, colors. So the white, it's not Tyvek. It's actually an adhesive of some sort.
It's a liquid applied membrane, but
it's not a wrap.
It's not a wrap.
And there's no wrap on it. This is
there's no wrap. That's it. Yeah, it's basically. I don't know if it's silicone based. It's a liquid applied. It dries. I mean, it's still kind of soft to the touch. It's like a big giant.
Okay. And then you put your siding right over the top of it.
Well, you see those black stripes there? Mm-hmm. Those what they're doing is what's called a rain screen. Those stripes are almost are corrugated with holes in it to allow air to flow between the finish and the white stuff.
Right, to have mold.
So the siding is nailed to the black stripes,
Mhm.
which are proud about, this much with holes that allow ventilation to go through. It's a newish, more concept on building construction than.
So you don't have the rot, yeah, because you're not making a whole bunch of holes in good
Right.
wood.
Keeping the water out and allowing airflow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Car, Jerry.
Yeah, or
And then the-
tar
Putting
paper,
holes in it because it still has to go through
the black part,
the black part. of
yeah,
the membrane.
but not as many.
Right, I'm sure.
Yeah,
'Cause there's flow
and
through
be
there.
kind of squishy, and so it's kind of self-healing when they
Mhm.
nail through that waterproof membrane. It kind of self-heals itself. Anyway, yeah, it's rather unique. You can see the black area over the entries, that's non-conditioned space, and that's more traditional, the double paper.
Just tar
that you-
paper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whereas a conditioned space has the big diaper.
right.
So, okay, phase 2, the architect, basically the expenditure's been the architect, and I had a conversation with a couple of days ago, I think after the turn of the year, we'll have another meeting with staff and be able to pick the pace up a little bit more on phase 2. And they're progressing. They had trouble getting plans, existing plans to work on, but truth be told, I think they were a bit impacted by trying to do a dozen jobs before the code change. Some of them ours and some other people's jobs. So I didn't see this. I was kind of saying the same thing in the last couple of months, and I could see that they're progressing, but it's not going gangbusters. So hopefully now that they got plans in they were trying to get under the wire for the new code, that we could pick up the pace here and get phase 2 going a little bit more.
Great.
So that's why I don't have much to say on phase 2. But I had the conversation with them a couple of days ago. Saying, I know where you are with things. We're all kind of spread thin right now. So there we are. That's the expenditures. The phase 3 is basically what we spent on what was phase 2 before. And then you can see we've only expended $7,000 on phase 2. And they've progressed further than that. I don't think their buildings are quite in line. In fact, I think there was a building that was after this report that brought it up a little bit. So that's kind of where we are. I'm wide open for questions. Yeah, that was the last one.
Are there any updates on the switchgear? Any
updates on what?
updates on the switchgear? Maybe coming quicker?
No, it's funny. They don't even commit to give it. They used to say, we'll have it by X day, and then they don't meet it. Now they won't even give you X date. I need to pose a question to them. It's been probably a week since I've asked, or 2 weeks since I've asked them. I know for Mendocino have asked, and they haven't given us an answer. And that was ordered well before this one.
Oh, boy.
Actually, they're just as most of their switch gears here. What's not there for theirs is future EV charging, and PG&E is allowing them to heat it up without that component. And that was just revelation of 2 days ago. We're not quite in that position where we have one piece that's just for future. We need the whole piece.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, I think that's just the new way people are dealing with it, so we're not disappointed if we don't have that date pass us. But gosh, if that's a company someone wants to start up.
It's nuts. I
Yeah,
replaced HVAC for Anderson Valley last summer, and the project's still open because it's done, it's operational, but there's a component called an economizer, which makes it more energy efficient. They won't even give us a date when it was coming, I think they finally gave us a date, and we're going to do it over winter break, but it was supposed to have been done last summer, and you can't put in what you don't have.
Right. Yeah. So, any other questions? Okay. Thank you for the update.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Don.
Have a great.
We cleared the room here, huh?
Yeah. I know. It was
All right, I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Have a great
Thank
holiday.
Have a good holiday.
Okay, so that moves us to approval of agenda consent items.
Are we going to do
It's,
number 5?
it's right after.
Okay.
Yep. So these are non-controversial, so we will ask for a motion.
Are we going to pull the disposal of obsolete materials?
I have a slide for the board to look at that is the obsolete items. There are no extravagant items here. There are some old Spanish language texts from the middle school. There are some out-of-date textbooks from the high school. And then some items from the nutrition services department. So it's the board's
Okay.
prerogative
Christmas
if you want to
shopping done
continue
yet?
or not with these, the obsolete.
So I guess I will have Vice President Makela read the consent items, and we'll ask for a motion and see if anyone wants something pulled.
Okay, item 10.1, warrants. Item 10.2, the minutes, November 17th, 2022 regular meeting. Item 10.3, personnel action report. Item 10.4, contracts. Item 10.5, disposal of obsolete materials. And item 10.6, AB 361, teleconference review.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda consent items.
In a second?
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Seeing no opposed, so moved. And now we move on to our number 5, which is going back to the organizational action. And we have 5.1 is oath of office. And we have 3 members, 3 trustees that need to take the oath.
Yes, and would we like to do this individually or as a group?
I've seen it many, many times this year together, so,
Okay.
but it's up to you.
We can do it together.
Fine by me.
Yep.
So we'll, Diana, Scott, and Jerry, if you'll rise, please. And repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Diana Paoli,
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Shorter pieces, Joe.
oh, sorry, that I will bear true faith and allegiance
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
You're all sworn in for another term. Thank you.
Okay, we are officially back on the board. So we are on all 4 years. And so next item on the organizational action is election of president. Do I have any motion? Do I have a motion?
I'll nominate Mary Makela for the position of president.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and I believe we do roll call, because this is a action.
Trustee Schneider?
Yes.
Trustee Babcock?
Yes.
Trustee Mattson?
Yes.
Trustee Makela?
Yes.
And Trustee Paoli?
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Very good. So I believe, I guess, do we switch right now? But what's interesting, a detail, because I went back into archives. So probably my inexperience, because I was a president mostly virtually, but technically you're supposed to be here and I'm supposed to be there, because I don't know. So you're not moving, which is horrible, because it was stated that the vice president is to the left of the president. So I don't know if you want to continue that tradition or if you'd like to switch chairs. But it seems kind of exciting to move chairs, but I will be moving. So it's up to you.
I'm
Okay.
fine.
You're where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Oh, good.
So I'll let you take over.
Well, so now we are to item 5.2.2, election of vice president. And do I have a motion, please?
I nominate Scott Snyder for vice president.
I'll second.
And roll call, please.
Trustee Mattson?
Yes.
Trustee Paoli?
Yes.
Trustee Babcock?
Yes.
Trustee Makala?
Yes.
And Trustee Schneider?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay. Moving on to item 5.3, the
Are they supposed to move?
Yes. So I get to
Oh,
move. Now I
that's
get to
right.
move.
So I'm moving.
So you get to- Thank you, Cassie.
It's always awkward, I remember.
Yeah, it seems like it. This is not why I opted not to move, I promise.
Oh, no.
I just want to do things properly. Okay.
Yeah, back over.
Wow.
There we go. New view.
I like to move. Been there a long time.
Well, I'm glad we did that, because before we move forward, I wanted to thank you, Diana, and I know we all agree that you were a stellar president, and you're a hard act to follow, believe me. So, correct me if I make mistakes, I'm totally fine, no ego here, and just be kind.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Moving forward. 5.3, filing a verified signature of board members and persons authorized to sign orders in the board's name. Say that's you, Joe.
Yes. So this item is really procedural, and we, with the approval of the names that are there, we will be able to move forward and we'll sign this. We'll have a lot to sign after the end of this meeting.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So if we can entertain a motion for that.
Oh, sorry, it is action. May I have a motion?
I move to approve the verified signature of board members and persons authorized to sign orders in the board's name.
And a second?
I'll second.
And roll call?
Trustee Mattson?
Yes.
Trustee Makala?
Yes.
Trustee Schneider?
Yes.
Trustee Babcock?
Yes.
Trustee Paoli?
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Okay, now moving on to item 5.4, statement of facts.
All right, and the statement of facts, I actually had Renee pull the one that was there, actually was already filled in, just in case the events of this evening played out differently than prior discussions. And so we have a completed form that we will fill out, but with the approval, it will list Trustee Makala as our new president, and the other members of the governing board there flowing through the rest.
All right, thank you. And may I have a motion?
I'll move to approve 5.4 statement of facts.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Very good.
And roll call, please.
Trustee Schneider?
Yes.
Trustee Mattson?
Yes.
Trustee Babcock?
Yes.
Trustee Paoli?
Yes.
And Trustee Makala?
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Thank you. All right, on to item 5.5, regular meeting dates. And we all have a copy.
Is this the same as the draft that we got before?
Yes, sir.
Good, I put them on my calendar already.
Good. Excellent.
And we looked at this before, so we were all in agreement. Does anybody have anything you need to add? Change? Nope. Okay, may I have a motion?
I move to approve the regular board meetings for January 2023 through December 2023.
And a second?
I'll second.
And roll call, please.
Trustee Schneider?
Yes.
Trustee Makala?
Yes.
Trustee Mattson?
Yes.
Trustee Babcock?
Yes.
Trustee Paoli?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Item 5.6, assignment of ancillary duties and appointments of the board, and we also all have a list of those things. So we need a little discussion.
So I forgot what order this meeting was, so my only comment was I kind of figured out where everyone should be at the site, so I'm being a little bit
Well, you
forward with
should
the
share.
discussion. Because we've all been everywhere except Scott and Mary kind of requested a couple of sites, so I think it makes sense for Scott to be at middle school, Mary to be at high school, because I was just at high school, and then it leaves Kathy maybe at Redwood, 'cause it's been a while, because we've all been everywhere, everyone else. And Jerry was at Dana Gray in 2019, and I was at Alt Ed in 17, so I think it kind of just, we land there.
I'm fine with whatever.
Okay, so
So-
that's what I figured out, where everyone's been, so it's not
So
back
which
to
one
back.
did you put Jerry at?
Dana Gray.
Dana Gray.
So
And
Redwood
you'll
would
be at
be
Alt Ed.
Kathy, Dana Gray would be Jerry, middle school would be Scott, Mary would be high school, and I would be at Alt Ed. Because I know Kathy was there before middle school. So anyway, that's how I calculated it out. So I don't know if anyone.
You've been keeping great track of all those things.
I had to look it up.
Thank you
I
for
have the,
that.
yeah, the
Yes.
last two written down for me, but that's as far as I go. That's my book. This is 2 years.
Oh. Okay, so our other committees. Currently, well, first of all, I guess we should talk about if we want to make changes, but currently, who's the audit committee? Is that,
Diana and I.
Yeah.
okay, so Scott and Diana, and are we going to keep that? Do we want to make changes?
I'm fine at the committees I'm at, but if someone wants to be part of the audit, which sometimes you get a virtual call, or in the old days, you actually were in a room with boxes with the young person. And it was a little intimidating, thinking, oh, gosh. Now it's just a kind of a phone call, so it's not labor intensive.
Well, sounds like we're going to leave that as is, so that'll be Scott and Diana. If you're good with that, Scott? Yep. Okay, the bond committee.
That's pretty hard.
Yeah,
Right.
that was
Kathy-
Jerry and I.
Kathy and Jerry.
And you want to keep that
Sure.
status quo?
Sure.
Okay. Mecca, Kathy and I, so that's,
And
Did
I
you
never
hear
got a
anything?
response. And I should have followed up. I'm sorry. I emailed
That's
Veronica
okay.
and didn't get a response about what is the current status of Mecca.
so Mecca may have disbanded. If they didn't, do we want to continue as we were, or does anybody else
We could just
have-
do a rotation, too.
We can do a rotation?
Yeah,
Just
because
the
what
month.
we had originally, Mary and I split it. I was on the fifth grade Senate end of it, and she
Fall.
was on the job fair.
Job fair, right?
And the fifth grade Senate has died, unfortunately, because the counselor that was doing it is now not here. So it never, I don't think it got resurrected. So with that being said, I'm not tied to it, or I can do it, whatever.
I'm totally fine with doing a rotation. Everybody then gets to see what goes on.
It
if
is,
Mecca
yeah,
exists.
I mean, I think the concern is that it wasn't focused,
Mhm.
but it was nice to kind of catch up with everybody on those various, or from those various.
Right. 'cause
But
all the
Joe, have you never
superintendents
heard
do.
anything from them, have you? So
I have
it
not.
probably has been disbanded.
You know, I heard that something may come when I first came on board this summer, and I've not heard another word. since
Right.
then.
Yeah.
They wanted to develop a mission and I guess couldn't find one. And everybody's so busy, it's hard to do one more meeting, so,
So
shall we?
maybe if you're the contact, then
I'll-
at agenda setting, that between the two of you,
Yeah.
you would be the first in line, and then
Okay.
reach out. So then, because that was the trouble too, is if you had reps and it changed, then if it's just going, the email's going to one person
Right.
each time, that
Yeah.
seems like, then we just know to go to you.
I'll give Veronica another call and see if we can find out for sure. So we'll move on to Friends of Mendocino College Coast Center. So it's actually, so it's FMCCC. I've been doing that. I would like to continue, but we can have two. I help them with the job fair actually through that, so I'm going to continue in that. I'd like to continue in that role. Does anybody else want to join?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Okay. So I'll make sure that Amanda usually, she's the dean of co-centers,
Mhm.
or of all the centers, so she will send out I'll make sure she sends you the agenda,
I think, how often are the meetings?
like 4 times a year. Yeah.
Great.
Sure. Okay, let me write that down. Okay. Board chat is just whoever's
Rotation.
on,
Rotation.
rotation for agenda setting. And the Community Safety Committee. So Joe, you had talked about talking to the new police chief.
Yes, so we still haven't had a chance to sit down and catch up on anything at this point, because we've both been pretty busy with things. But yes, I think that we'll be forming a committee through the new year. And I would like to look at it from, and I think he would too, from a broader sense of not just, emergency response in the traditional sense of some of the horrible things that can happen, but also thinking about if there's a natural disaster or responses in those sort of ways and how we can work together. Obviously, the schools will be a center of that, so.
Right. So shall we put this on hold and wait and see how that develops, and then you can bring it back to us?
I
Okay.
believe that would be the best thing.
Perfect, thank you. And Three Rivers Charter School, we've all been doing that on rotation as well. If you're the, yes, patriotic
Rotation.
exercise. So, shall we continue that? Yep, okay. Great. Naming of the facility committee. So this is a new committee. And I think it's one we're gonna need. I don't know if we need it quite yet, but it would be good to have people in place, I think. Is anybody interested in joining that committee?
I'd be happy to be on it.
Okay. Do we have another person? Anyone? Honestly, I think it would be great to have one of the 3 of you who grew up here on that, so.
I'll do it.
Jerry? Great. Thank you.
And so, my only question, since this is a brand-new committee we've never had before, and it could potentially require, none of these committees require any money, but this one's unique. So well, obviously, we'd have,
It would be advisory only
okay,
in
yeah,
nature.
because they don't have a budget to it.
Right.
Because it could be.
It could have
it's
potential
just,
ramifications.
It's just, we've never had a committee where it may require input from the staff.
I think the committee would be tasked with coming up with suggestions and advice on how to proceed, and then the board as a whole would decide on any funding that came from that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you. So Diana and I have been doing community relations advocacy. We can put that up for discussion. I'm interested in continuing. I don't know if you
Yeah.
are, but I don't know if other people,
Yeah.
I don't want to have
good.
it.
It happens during a terrible time for me, so.
Like the
I-
legislature.
Yeah.
Ledge
I mean, I
day.
would like to be more involved, but
It's the wrong time of
it's the
year.
wrong time of the year for me. So if you ladies would like to do it, that's great.
And there's another avenue of it as well, because we were trying to be responsive to anything going on, that we could write a letter,
Mhm.
for board support, and then, newspaper outreach with the superintendent. So those are other avenues that don't have to
Mhm.
be in the spring.
Right.
So we can always do that. And then there is a new, well, it's not really linked to it, but our PD, there's a new upcoming PD that you guys will probably talk about at agenda setting or something.
Yeah, the coast-to-coast advocacy trip that's apart from CSBA, if we wish to participate in that or not.
Because that's a flight trip, and we've
Yeah.
historically never,
Flown anywhere.
they did it they did it
Jerry and I
San
went
Diego.
the first year, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
so anyway, so that's just a discussion to know,
Mhm.
because I think there was a priority of everyone going to the San Francisco. Anyway, I don't want to get off topic, but advocacy.
We'll revisit that in January then. Okay, and the Wellness Committee, which is, not sure, did we have anyone on the Wellness Committee?
I attended, I don't know if we really
Oh,
were
yeah.
appointed, but that was the Pilar,
Pilar was-
where we did
yeah.
the third Tuesday, Tennis Shoe Tuesday, or Thankful Thursday, that whole,
Yeah,
remember?
I think that kind of fell apart with COVID.
COVID, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I don't know
But
if
it might
it's-
come back with Blue Zone.
Right.
I
Yeah.
almost said Blue Door,
True.
but anyway, help Blue Door too.
Great.
But Blue Zone.
Yeah.
And if we have any upcoming audits, that's certainly something for the school nutrition program, they need to see the wellness committee meeting. So,
So it's kind of a requirement.
So shall we go ahead and set 2 people, so then when it comes up, we can,
I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, I'm happy to stay on.
okay.
Anyone else?
Unless somebody else wanted it, I'm happy to do that.
Or Kathy? Yeah, I don't
Oh,
know.
Kathy, did you want to stay on?
Or
Well, no,
Try.
I feel like I'm not on here very much, but
Oh,
if
you
you
wanna-
have a passion, Mary, I know
No, no.
you have a passion for it, so I am perfectly
No,
fine.
no, no, you do it.
Well,
They don't need to hear from me.
Okay.
Okay. And you're right, did not do that. Too many, okay. Thank you, let me move on here. Let's see, sorry. Okay, so we're moving on, we did that.
Do we need to vote?
Oh, gosh, yes, sorry, that, moving on. So we need a vote on that, thank you. Can I have a motion on item 5.6?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve item number 5.6, ancillary duties and appointments of board members in 2023 as discussed.
Okay, and a second?
I will second.
And roll call, please.
Trustee Paley?
Yes.
Trustee Mattson?
Yes.
Trustee Babcock?
yes.
Trustee Makla?
Yes.
And Trustee Schneider?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now, moving on. So, moving on to 11, and that is our, sorry, it's in front of me, board action items. So 11.1, Resolution 2217, Annual Report and Accounting of Developer Fees 2122.
So this is an annual requirement. The resolution indicates how the fees were collected and what they were slated to be used for. The second part of it goes through what the plans are for the remaining funds that are on hand from the collections. And then the attachments go through how much was collected in the previous year and what was spent on and what's left. We have suspended collecting these funds now, so I have to find out how much of these reports have to be done every year. I know the one talking about how much is left on hand will have to continue. But so there may be a slight change to these reports in coming years, but for now, we still did collect in 21, 22, so that's what this is looking at.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
So are we going to suspend these indefinitely? I forget what we did with that.
Well, we suspended them for now. I mean, we'll have to revisit it in the future if we start to see a big influx of students and need more space and can justify impacts of influx of people on the school district. So it would be a lovely issue to have. And then we would have to do another developer fee study because we haven't done one since 2004, I want to say, or something. It's been a very long time, and we hadn't raised them for a long time because of the bonds in appreciation to the community for having supported us in those. And with our declining enrollment, it just became apparent that we really could not justify collecting them anymore
And many
for
times
now.
you get older people building a project that have virtually no impact on the school system, so it seemed like it was not an equitable.
Now, if we have
Kinda
another
gouging.
housing development or something, or if some big company moves in here and brings a bunch of families with it, then we would have to look at it again and say, okay, there is going to be an impact to the schools. But
So the development that's being built now is not really
what
relevant.
development?
On
Yeah.
South Street?
Yeah.
By the
On where?
hospital.
By the
South Street,
hospital.
The low
by the hos-
income.
Behind the hospital, South Street.
Oh, how many units are we talking about there?
Quite a bit.
Well, quite a few.
60?
Yeah,
There's
they've got them
apartments
packed in there.
and
Oh, I don't know.
Well, it's too
Okay.
late now. I mean, they're
Well, yeah.
done.
Right.
They're moved in.
Oh, they
Oh.
are? They're moved in?
People are
Wow.
moving
Oh,
in
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
They have
Yes, they
a
look done.
pickleball
Then
court.
they clearly paid developer fees because it happened
Yes.
before 21-22. So
Right.
Good point.
any
Okay.
new developments that
Thank
come
you.
up.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that that's the correlation. If someone, the point of it is to, anyone that's new build, and part of that,
The anticipated impact on the school district.
okay.
It's not just a new build if you're adding square footage as well.
Right, but the criteria, you really want to only be gouging people that have kids? Is what I'm hearing?
No. It was anybody who built anything
Right.
because it supported the need for expansion.
Right.
You know, presumably, construction means expansion. And we just aren't seeing the kind of expansion, and our enrollment has dropped quite a bit since we instituted these fees. So
you don't want to
there's not
stockpile.
a need
Yeah.
for it
Right.
at this
Yeah.
point.
Okay.
We can't justify it.
Right,
That's
yeah,
basically the point.
I think you're right with the bonds.
right,
It
is
seems
enough,
to
yeah,
just let those go for now.
right.
Any
Okay.
other discussion, questions? Okay, may I have a motion?
I move to approve Resolution 22-17 of the Governing Board of the Fort Bragg Unified School District regarding accounting of development fees for 2021-22 fiscal year in the following fund or account.
Second?
Okay, thank you. Renee, roll call?
Trustee Makla?
Yes.
Trustee Mattson?
Yes.
Trustee Babcock?
Yes.
Trustee Paoli?
Yes.
And Trustee Schneider?
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on, 11.2, the 2022-23 first interim report.
Okay, the first interim report is really our first check-in and more accurate look at what the current year budget is going to look like, because when we do the budget at the end of the year, you're still looking at what your estimated ending balances are. And so those aren't actual numbers, they're budget numbers still. We move them around to try to get as close as we can, but it never quite ends up in where it belongs. The biggest difference is that a lot of the resources we have that are restricted show what they call ending fund balance carryover. Once you close the books, you turn that into deferred revenue, so it goes away, it comes out of revenue, and then it comes back into revenue the subsequent year. So all of that moving around of things impacts first interim very heavily, and that's where the largest changes are to this. And if you look at the page just behind the cover, this is sort of a new little presentation that kind of lays it out in a summary form so you can kind of see where the changes are. So the impact of the additional amount applied to the base and the LCFF funding is the biggest increase to the LCFF sources. We had a few more kids than we originally anticipated when we did the budget, so that was a nice little bump there also, and that'll help. So the increase in the revenues, again, is largely because of monies that were originally showing as ending fund balance that had to get moved out of there and into the new year revenue instead of prior year revenue. So that's the biggest changes in the revenues. Then in the expenses, the largest changes were the retro increase to all of the salaries. Obviously, that hit salaries and benefits. And then there are some new resources that we have started to collect, and we have started working on plans for some of the other ones. So some of the expenditure groups have also gone up because of those things. So this is sort of, like I said, a first stop to kind of look at, okay, where really is the budget for this year? And we have a lot of carryover, a lot of ending fund balance here. And a lot of that, most of it, is obviously going to be on the restricted side because anything that isn't budgeted out shows up there. And then on the unrestricted side, there are some resources that we either haven't budgeted out or are sort of squirreling away so that when some of these other one-time funds go away, we will have those to use. So mostly the supplemental concentration balance, because there have been so many other one-time amounts that have come in that should be used first, because they have dates by which they have to be spent. So, so then the next, towards the end there's the multi-year with the assumptions that I always put together for you, so you can see a little more detail on where the changes are from one year to the next. Clearly, we're looking fine for this year and the 2 subsequent years. We'll know a little more in January with the governor's first proposal for the budget for next year. And as we know, that can change drastically between January and May, and then it can change drastically again between May and July. But we do the best we can with the information we get. So that's where we are with that. So these numbers reflect more accurately what our available revenues are and our anticipated expenses. Because the other thing that happens is positions, assignments get leveled out too. We really know exactly who we have, where they are, and where they're being funded from.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, may I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the 22-23 first interim report.
And a second?
I'll second.
And roll call, please.
Trustee Paoli?
Yes.
Trustee Makla?
Yes.
Trustee Babcock?
Yes.
Trustee Schneider?
Yes.
And Trustee Mattson?
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Thank you. And thank you, Wendy. I should have said that before I moved on. I apologize. And I do want to repeat what Diana said. There is that budget meeting coming up. You can sign up for, there's a Humboldt one that's virtual, and then there's one at Lake County that's in person. That would be the closest to us. Okay, moving on to 11.3, the flooring purchase for FBMS.
So we're looking to replace the flooring in the halls and a few classrooms, as well as the administrative offices at FBMS. If you've looked down that hall, you can see some of the tile is not doing great. And while this isn't in a emergency state, we don't want it to get there. It's getting close to that. And so the information provided, we do not have to go out to bid, as this is already on the appropriate lists that don't require the bids. What we're looking at putting down is a rubber tile that will have a really long lifespan. It will probably outlive certainly my tenure in the district, I would think, by some time. And Barry and I were discussing that and think it will get at least a 20-year life, if not longer than that. So we're really encouraged by spending a little bit more money now that we get a product that will last and live up to the day-to-day issues that we see.
And speaking of spending, I should have gone through the packet more carefully. The cover sheet shows that it's general funds that are going to be paying for this. That's not correct. We'll correct that in the final paperwork. It's actually going to be Fund 26, which used to be redevelopment funds. We still, because some of the redevelopment agency projects are still all going on in Fort Bragg, we still receive a little bit of a throw-off from that. When those agencies were disbanded, they formed these successor agencies to continue finishing up their projects, and so we are still benefiting from that. So we'll be using those funds for this.
Great, thank you. And
So what is the process? Do we just go out and get one bid from one outfit?
Because they're on the approved list, we could look with other outfits. However, it should be in the same price range because of the bid process. It's the piggyback bidding. I wish I had Barry here. He could do a better job of explaining the ins and outs of that. if you're not comfortable with that, I can obviously have him come back and provide us with more information.
My experience in 50 years of doing this is when somebody knows somebody else is bidding on it, they're going to sharpen their pencil every single time. So I'm not saying we don't approve this tonight, but we get into $225,000 contracts, it seems like it might be worthy of at least informally getting a couple other quotes.
Right.
And we did quote out some other products with the same company, but I can understand the wisdom in that as well.
Human nature, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
What's your timeframe?
So I think if we approve in January, if I can bring back some information for you there, that we should be okay. We're trying to get this done for the
Spring break?
No. Summer break.
Mm.
So,
To
because
be
it's
a
going to
big-
be very disruptive to the administrative
Yeah.
offices in particular. So.
Well, it's a big job.
It's a really big job, and it looks like you've got 30 days for this price. That was my two questions were, I didn't think it was general funds, and then I was hoping that there were other companies, but have you used these folks before?
Yes.
Yes, we
So
have.
that's valuable if you've used them before. And then the sales tax rate, I thought it was supposed to be for Fort Bragg, but that's not Fort Bragg rate. That'll save us a little money.
Yeah, it's a little high.
8.875, but I guess it's not really much,
Just a
but
little
it's not
bit.
right.
And Jerry, do you want to pull this?
No.
Till next, you're good?
No, I trust Barry and Joe. It's getting a little bit out of my comfort zone to have a bid that high that we don't have a comparative price to, so.
Certainly.
And if you've used them before, then you're probably fine.
In the future, we will bring that forward as well.
And we want to approve it before December 18th, otherwise it
We
could
can
go
say
up.
good, yeah.
So,
Or down, no.
yeah.
Anyway, well, and rubber tiles sound like a great choice for
what
any
we
school,
thought it
but
would-
the middle school too.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Can I have a motion?
I move to approve the flooring purchase and installation at Fort Bragg Middle School.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. And Renee, roll call, please.
Trustee Makla?
Yes.
Trustee Babcock?
Yes.
Trustee Paoli?
Yes.
Trustee Mattson?
Yes.
Trustee Schneider?
Yes.
The motion carries.
And can I just have a follow-up? So are there other sites that need floor replacement that are earmarked?
They were determined to be the most needy for that at this point.
Okay.
The other sites are looking okay.
Okay. So we don't have this one coming up again?
No, we have some other projects that may arise, but that's.
Okay, just want to make sure that, obviously, the evaluation's been made and.
It has,
Okay,
yes.
very good.
Okay, moving on to item 11.4, the new classified position and job description for bus monitor.
So this arose out of a need that we had on our buses. We had a practice of trying to fill in with instructional aides that had not been working out well because of the time of day. So we needed to put just a little bit of a, almost a shift differential on it, that it gets paid on the next highest classification. So that just gives a little incentive to be there at 6:30 in the morning and ride a bus around for a couple of hours. So we've worked with CSEA. They're happy with with everything that we've proposed in this situation. So I would anticipate that we'll have someone very quickly wanting to step into the role.
Are we going to have one of these for each bus?
So this is really for our special education bus.
Okay, so just one?
Yes, but being that we have the job description now, if a need arises at some point, then it's easy to move forward with that process. So.
Makes sense. Any other questions? Comments? Okay, may I have a motion?
I move to approve the new classified position and job description, bus monitor.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Renee, roll call, please.
Trustee Babcock?
Yes.
Trustee Mattson?
Yes.
Trustee Schneider?
Yes.
Trustee Paoli?
Yes.
Trustee Makla?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank Thank you. Okay, moving on to 11.5, the Blue Zone Project of Mendocino County Resolution of Support.
All right, so as you remember, last time we had the Blue Zones project come and present to us, and what a cool project that is. I think that they really feel that our district is a model district for other districts to strive to be. So they're really excited that we're considering approving this. This is obviously a non-binding resolution. It's just a resolution of support to say we support the work that they're doing and would like to partner with them.
Great, thank you. Any questions?
What's the follow-up to this?
So the follow-up, they'll continue some of the work they've already started. So they'll be able to come in and support our staff at staff meetings and provide them with some wellness activities. They can come in and support our students if we feel that's appropriate in certain situations. Maybe for middle and high school, it might be more appropriate. And they'll also be able to come in and help sponsor some of our family activities and things like that if we want to do some wellness activities as a part of that.
Would they do like a presentation at Redwood and Dana Gray, like in the multipurpose rooms, something like that?
I believe we can, yeah.
I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, I think we could ask them to do that. Really, they're pretty well funded, so I think that they can do a lot. So they bring stuff every time and seem to have a lot of resource with their folks. So I've never been told no when I've asked, can you come and do?
So what is our obligation? I mean, that we want to have a partnership with them, but just more about time. So they might try to get walking groups set aside, or we don't have any obligation, or there's no financial commitment.
No, this doesn't.
I don't have to do 20 push-ups every day before the board meeting.
No, it doesn't commit us to anything other than to say we believe that healthy lifestyles are a good thing, and we want to encourage that in our employees, our students, and our families if we can.
And has nutrition? I mean, this hasn't been at site yet, so no one knows it's coming.
No, but Pilar and I have reviewed this, and
Okay,
Pilar
perfect.
feels that it's very much in line with the work of the Wellness Committee.
Awesome.
So.
Right. And their work is known far and wide, so it does bring in a lot of resources, really, and it's encouraging our kids and community and families to be healthy, so.
I want to borrow that cookbook.
I do too, I
Yeah.
know.
That
Would
loaded
there
out.
be any staff resources that?
I'm sorry?
Would there be any staff resources?
Yes, I'm sure that they will come forward. They've already provided some at our staff, November 1st Staff Development Day. They came in and provided some. But I think as we formalize, by adopting this, that they're able to move forward with actually distributing additional things at the sites and having sort of a little resource center in some of the staff rooms there.
Okay,
so.
Great.
So were you asking about whether we were going to?
Yeah, I'm more like, is there going to be someone on our end committed to this and it growing in the district?
Yes, so
aside from
Pilar-
you.
Yes. Pilar is as the head of the wellness. She has really taken this on as a mantra for her to carry forward, and she's already connected with them as well in our initial talks. So.
Okay.
It's a great program. Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to consider adoption of the Blue Zone Project Mendocino County Resolution of Support, item 11.5.
Thank you, and a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Renee, roll call, please.
Trustee Schneider?
Yes.
Trustee Makla?
Yes.
Trustee Paoli?
Yes.
Trustee Mattson?
Yes.
And Trustee Babcock?
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, and finally, 11.6, the out-of-state conference attendance request.
Okay, so as I was telling you earlier, that our Alt Ed has been gaining some notoriety out of the conference that they went to. Was that just last week? My goodness.
Yeah.
This month has just kind of flown by. So they attended, and Gary Lewis was asked to come and attend this conference in Colorado Springs. And I see it being a very positive thing to really draw in additional support for our big picture learning project, but also bring in additional schools who want to come take a look and help him become more of a facilitator, so that we have an expert within our population. So I think the pay for this, or the cost for this is being paid for out of our CSI funds, of which if we don't start using some, we might have to return them just because there's only limited things that we can spend them on, and
Right.
this fits within that.
And any questions?
No.
Okay, well, it's a great program, and Gary is a great advocate for it, and he'll do a great job. So may I have a motion?
I move to approve the out-of-state conference attendance request.
And a
I'll
second?
second that.
Okay, Renee, roll call, please.
Trustee Mattson?
Yes.
Trustee Paoli?
Yes.
Trustee Schneider?
Yes.
Trustee Babcock?
Yes.
And Trustee Makla?
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Very exciting.
So I know we just passed the motion, so is he not planning on eating at all?
I think that's all taken care of at the conference, that they
Okay.
provide all the food.
Just making sure.
He's kind of
The foodie guy.
You know.
Stomach.
And some of those estimates may be high as well, because he said there are certain things that'll be taken care of, but he wanted to put forth the
Worst
most
case.
realistic estimate possible. So,
Yeah. Well, and like you said, those funds have to be spent.
Yes.
So this is a worthy thing. So moving on to information and discussion, item 12.1, CSBA recommended board policy 0415 equity. And we said that we would keep this on our agendas as we are developing our equity statement and equity policy. Do we have any discussion around it today?
I just think this gives us a good starting point from what we currently have,
Mhm.
what we have to work with.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think that our workshop that we held was a great start, jumping off point. Got a lot done. Okay, so moving on to board reports.
I don't have much, so we all, well, no, I guess not. So Mary and I worked with Joe well, Joe really did it. Mary and I just kind of showed up. But he did the agenda and all the preparation for our workshop on Saturday. So thank you all for being present, and it was a great day. And then I have been attending a lot of high school and middle school basketball. That's really all I've done.
That's fun.
Me too. I attended the Redwood construction project walkthrough. It was the day after our last meeting. And it's going to be huge when it's all done. I mean, that's only a portion of the new construction. So anyway, they're moving right along. Everything looks good. And then yesterday I attended virtually a MCRPD meeting regarding the ELAP program. And that was very interesting.
Okay, thank you.
I attended very briefly the football awards reception ceremony, something at Redwood. I was asked not to go, so I hid in the back corner so I wouldn't be seen. And I just wanted to let the board know, starting in January, I'll be on the high school campus a little more often. I'm actually teaching a class through the college, dual enrollment at the high school.
Oh, that's
It's
exciting.
a business class.
Oh,
So
For you.
That's great, yeah, very
Excited.
exciting.
nervous, but very excited.
Oh, yeah, that'll be
We'll
great.
have to go sit in.
Yeah, I think-
Give us your-
Anytime.
yeah, give us your schedule.
Or sign up, we can sign up. Well, not all of us, just one.
That's funny.
And Diana?
I also attended the MCRPD virtual meeting. And also, I really enjoyed the equity workshop, and we didn't really get through all the agenda, but I think it will, it's going to be, the effort we put into it, it's going to be worthwhile. And then I've been attending games, but through the NFHS. So I'll log on and see games, and so that's been kind of exciting to root for families. Then I don't have to travel over to St. Helena and do that. So, and I think that,
Great.
yeah.
And I did the same with Kathy, the planning, which again, Joe, thank you so very much, because you're so organized and really pulled it together. And of course, the workshop, which was great. I've been involved in a family issue, and so I have not attended anything else. So we'll move on to advanced planning, suggestions for future board meetings. We have a special board meeting planning for 2023, which will have at least a couple more for equity, I would think, if not more than that. And we need to, our board governance workshop is February 11th. Does anybody have anything else?
I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but are we going to, when is board chat and when is agenda setting
Thank you.
now that
That was my question.
we are?
Thank-
And then the calendar, I'm assuming it will be done now that the meetings are set, right? The who's where.
Right, I think that was why it's not presented today, is because she needed to know.
Who was president and who was,
Mhm.
okay.
And-
So I guess then just the question is, are we keeping board chat at 3:30? Or do we discuss that at our workshop in February, and when's agenda setting?
Yeah, I think we can talk about it now, and I don't know that it's lately. I've done both this fall, and Susie's always there. I haven't had any.
We didn't have, oh, we didn't have anyone this morning.
Yeah, I didn't have.
Or this afternoon.
This afternoon, yeah.
And I'm sorry that I had to miss that.
Feels like it was morning.
What works best for everybody?
As long as it's set, I can do
Yeah.
Yeah,
anything on my
exactly.
calendar. I just want to know when Renee gets us when I'm on agenda
Right.
setting, I need to know that I'm on chat too.
Right.
Put that in my calendar.
And it
So,
doesn't matter
If
to
it doesn't
me.
seem to make a difference, I mean, I know we did get some feedback that the staff likes it better at 3:30.
Well, then I think
Yeah.
that's, if that worked for you, Joe?
Oh, yeah, that works well
Yeah,
on my
I mean,
schedule.
I like the 3:30, but I think that the morning is tough, because if
Mhm.
you're late, you're scrambling
Right.
around.
What time
As
have you been doing
families.
agenda setting?
We were
Um,
doing that at 3:30 as well,
3:30
right?
as well.
So we'll just do both at 3:30.
Or was it 3?
Then
Or
we'll
3 o'clock.
remember.
I think it was 3.
3?
But you guys could talk about it, the first agenda setting, you could talk about it more. You know,
It'd be nice to make it the same. Everybody would remember which one's 3, which one's 3:30.
And the calendar of who's doing what meeting, is that done
Will
by
come.
Renee?
she'll give that to us.
Coming soon.
Okay, so we're going at 3:30.
So let's
And
do
they'll be
3:30
in-
For both?
That's fine.
Okay,
Sounds like it.
good.
That works for me, and then we'll make sure we know we do Three Rivers that
Yes.
same month.
Okay.
And that's at 5:30, 3 Rivers
5:30.
meetings? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And you can do it in person or virtually. Either
Okay.
way.
That might change.
Oh,
Well, I'm
Well, I
just
mean, it
assuming
might,
at some
but-
point they're gonna,
yeah.
it was great the day that I went, because I was out with animals and I didn't have to get anywhere clean.
Yeah.
So I just got on the computer and nobody knew I was very
I think they're going to continue the virtual
I do too.
attendance
Oh, they
option.
are.
I just
Yeah.
don't think they're going to meet virtually unless they have to.
Right,
So-
yeah. I think it's worked well to allow people to tune in and not have to actually be there in person, so.
The school and college legal services legal memo will talks more about that, so we can maybe put that on for information and discussion or something, just to
Okay.
clarify that it's going to change. It's not, people are using it for convenience right now, and that's not going to happen
Oh, the
anymore.
AB 361, yeah.
Mhm. So I think we should do that, talk
Yeah.
about that.
And
Uh-huh.
did we ever get a date for our next equity? I know we talked about it.
January 28th.
January 28th, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have January 28th for a special,
In
February 11th.
Right.
And I finished governance core, so I hope everyone else does too.
I'm working on it, I am.
And I'm going to have a little highlight with it.
I'm sorry, what was that about?
Governance core that we're going to talk about at the February
everybody-
I read
11th.
that thing like a year ago, I have to read it again.
That's why I'm going to do a summary. It'll recap
Mine's
the
got sticky notes
highlights.
sticking out all over the place. It's a great book.
It is a good read.
If you were a newbie, it would be really, really helpful.
It's nice to see all the things you're doing right, too, because we were doing a lot of things right in there, according to them.
And both those are 9 to noon, on the 28th and the 11th?
Yes.
Yes.
Equities can be back in your office?
I believe so, unless you
Yeah,
want to.
no, that's fine. Just making sure.
That worked out well.
Yeah,
I felt
that
like.
was nice.
And the board governance is going to be in the high school
Yeah, the high school conference room,
conference room.
yes.
Okay. Well, we can talk about it later. Okay, so on to 13.3, housekeeping, reminders and announcements. We have, let's not forget, Saturday, the 17th, the CTE Art Showcase and Sale at Town Hall. Last year, Amy had amazing cookies, so good. And they had lots of, Jason Godek had lots of art cards and so forth, and I'm not sure if the high school art class is doing this as well, which would be great, and I did hear that, that Ag is doing, they're bringing, right? Okay, so we're gonna have, are they gonna do the horseshoe
There's welding projects.
welding projects? Well worth coming for. I've got some on my deck right now.
Mm-hmm.
December 20th, the Three Rivers Charter School, so we're going to do that again as rotation.
That got moved.
Actually, that
Oh, that
happened
got moved.
this week, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yes,
Oh.
that's right. I was there packing candy that day, so I should know that. Okay, so December 19th through January 2nd, no school for winter break. January 10th, the Dana Gray Parents Club meeting.
Oh, yes.
That'll be Jerry.
Back to it, Jerry. Okay. And January 16th, no school for Martin Luther King Day. I think
And
that's
January
it.
12th is our next meeting.
And January 12th is the next meeting. Okay. With nothing further, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved to adjourn.
And a second?
And I will second.
I think you
Okay.
can just count on it, you know?
I know, and when you're not here, we just,
You'll be
it
here
just